we've talked about it. It's been some very unexpected moves. People have gone up and down. Some people slid. Some people were, a little bit of a reach. So now is kind of a good time where we can sit down and really kind of plan out what their career might look like.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's get into it. Let's start with the quarterbacks. I think that's kind of the big one there. People want to see what are the quarterbacks going to be like. So let's start with Bryce Young. Now, this is going to seem like an easy one, but Kyler Murray, now let me explain why. Yeah. First of all, yes, the undersized. Both have a special arm, right? For their size, you're like, wow, that's a weirdly good arm for their size, right? And they're both beautiful, elegant throwers of the football. Both are mobile, but don't rely solely on it, right? Both are better from the pocket and better when they can make plays and keep their eyes downfield to extend plays for their arm, not necessarily abandon the pocket just to run.
Sure.
I think sometimes Lamar, as soon as it's not there, it's down and he's gone, right? Cam had that quality too. If it wasn't there, it was down, it's gone. I think Kyler and Bryce are dynamic enough, but still stay in the pocket, stay within the structure and the hope of the play, which is to get a ball downfield.
Which, we've seen countless times. How many times have you seen Kyler scramble? He more so uses his legs to scramble to find space to throw the football rather than scramble to try to get yardage.
Yeah, and if need be, they can both get yardage. I will also say, now Kyler is a little young to determine this now, but I don't think either of them are 10-year NFL players. I think both of them are going to have about a 4 to 5 year prime, and it's going to be very early, right? Bryce Young, right after, he'll probably have a rookie season that is like very average, right? Like Kyler did.
Yeah.
And then second season, he's going to pop off. He's going to come onto the scene and be a top 10 to 12 guy.
No, yeah.
And maintain that for about 3 to 4 years, and then he's going to fall back off because of injuries and stuff like that.
Right. I don't see him being a guy coming into the first year and totally lighting things on fire and reshaping the landscape of the NFL. He's going to be more of a slow burn.
He'll be good. He'll be good.
Yeah.
All right, C.J. Stroud. Mark Sanchez. This is one that you had.
Yes.
I don't think it's crazy, right? So C.J. Stroud and Mark Sanchez, both California kids, both go to national powers in college.
Yep.
And what is Mark Sanchez? Within the structure of the offense, he's accurate. He's a leader. He's a grown-up. He's going to do the right thing in the room.
Yep.
All you're hearing out of camp right now, Case Keenum comes out. CJ is a veteran in the room. If I didn't know any better, I think he'd been there for 4 or 5 years, and he's bounced around the league. He's been in the NFL locker room for 5 years now. He's super accurate.
Which are all great things.
That's all you're hearing out of Houston. Those are all great things.
Yeah.
But neither of them are dynamic. Neither of them are going to make the Patrick Mahomes play. Right? CJ Stroud's not going to get out and rip off 80 yards run like a Justin Fields is, right? Because that's an easy comparison to Ohio State, but I think Stroud is a much more pocket-bound quarterback as opposed to Fields, who I think his only attribute that keeps him in the league right now is his ability to get outside of the pocket.
I think so too.
I think it's a good comparison there. And I don't think either of them, same thing with Bryce Young and Kyler, I don't think either of them are starters in 12 years.
Yeah.
I don't think C.J. Stroud's a starter in 12 years in the league. Yeah. I think he's about 7 to 8 years. Kind of like a Sam Darnold. He might bounce around as a backup for 3-4 years, then he's done.
Yeah. Sam Darnold would have been a good comp too. I think none of the quarterbacks taken in this class, we're going to get to some more. I don't think any of them are going to be really like generational talents. This isn't a QB draft class where you're going to look back and go, "Oh my God, Bryce Young, what a pickup that was." Like, no, I don't see it being like that. And for that reason, it's going to be Mark Sanchez. That's why I see that comparison.
I agree. Let's go Anthony Richardson. I see a lot of Jameis Winston. The upside's there. The talent is there.
But he's going to make the mistakes.
The mistakes are also going to be there. Yeah. And I think Anthony Richardson, now Cam Newton is also a comp that came to mind. I don't think he's going to be quite as dynamic of a runner as Cam. And look, Cam in his prime could deliver the football. Let's be real.
Sure.
Now, it was only for about 2 years. And then some inconsistency started hitting, right? But I don't think he's going to be as good of a thrower as Cam was. And Jameis right now is not consistent enough, not accurate enough for me to think that Anthony Richardson, that fits the mold, right? He's not going to be accurate. He's not going to be consistent enough. More Jameis, more interceptions. Also, you're going to get the touchdowns. You're going to get some of the spectacular, some of the good runs.
Yeah.
Both big, strong athletes, down south, Florida guys. Makes a ton of sense.
But like you said, at the end of the day, Jameis Winston still does have a cannon arm. And you're going to be able to see those
I still think Jameis
throws.
can start in this league. I'm just saying that right now.
I think so, too. I think there's a couple of quarterbacks that he's better than. I think I'd rather have him than Baker Mayfield, if we're going to get into it. But
100%.
Here's the thing. You're gonna get the risk taking with Anthony Richardson. So in turn, you're going to get a little more mistakes. But if he can play like we think he can, and he can have the upside that the Colts see in him, I think it could end up balancing itself out. I mean, let's not forget, Josh Allen was a guy like that. He came in, took a lot of risks, threw a lot of interceptions. But he had the spectacular, and he had the arm power, and he made the great throws to back it up.
We're going to have to do another discussion about this, because now I'm curious who else you would take over Jameis Winston. We'll get into it. We'll do that another time. All right, Will Levis, I think Jay Cutler. I think that's both big, strong, massive arms, right? Like, where they throw and you're like, whoa, wait, that doesn't look like the rest of the league, right?
Sure.
Like, maybe, like Will Levis, there's stronger arms in the league, right? I think Josh Allen and Herbert, they may have stronger arms. But that release, that quick release, that whip-like arm that Levis has, very similar to Jay Cutler, who had a really quick release, really strong arm.
Yeah.
And I don't think both of them were kind of a little bit too much into themselves a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Like I saw a drill from Levis in practice, just kind of went through the motions. Like it was like where you go through, I don't even know, like the pads, and you do like high knees over it, like while the quarterback has
like step up.
Yeah, I'm not a football coach. I don't know what the hell that's called, but yeah, you know what I mean. Like step back. So he does it, and then there's one where he's like back to the target. He does it, and then you just turn around real quick, make a throw. His feet weren't even set. His feet were looking at the sideline. He's trying to make a throw like the other way. Like, dude, set your feet. What are we talking about here? This is 8th grade stuff.
Right.
So I don't see him being a very successful starter. He will be a starter, and I think for about 10 years. But I don't think he'll be a franchise guy. I think he's going to be a bounce around the league, 2-3 year at each stop type of guy.
Kind of
like
run a quarterback type of deal.
Yeah, because Cutler was in what? Where was he? He was in Denver,
Chicago.
He even stopped in Miami for a little bit. So I think it's going to be kind of like that.
Yeah, I agree with that. And that's not a guy that I really even thought of until you brought him up. And that is a good comparison.
Let me also throw this out there. Jay Cutler's made a lot of money. Jay Cutler had a 10-year productive NFL career.
Yeah.
Let's not act like Jay Cutler is a bad. If I told you tomorrow you could be Jay Cutler,
I'd be Jay Cutler.
Sign me up. There's my signature right there. Like I'm in. Like no problem.
Yeah.
Right. Like so it's not the worst thing in the world.
No, it makes sense.
All right, Peter Skoronski. I see a ton of Quentin Nelson.
Now
I know Skoronski's technically a tackle, but I think he projects more as a guard, which Nelson is. Both solid in pass rush blocking, better opening up holes for the run game, which is perfect for Tennessee. Which is perfect for Tennessee. So I think if Tennessee gets a Quentin Nelson level player, they'll be a happy guy.
Absolutely, and let's not forget, Derrick Henry has kind of taken steps back as we've seen the offensive line take steps back, right? He needs that help, especially as he gets a little older now. He's not breaking as many tackles. He's not having as many huge breakaway runs. So having a guy that's just going to go in there and level a defensive line so you can run the ball and just average 5 to 6 to 7 yards a carry every single time, that's going to win you games. That's going to take the pressure off of Ryan Tannehill in Tennessee.
Yeah. Or a Will Levis.
Or Will Levis if he steps up
young
into
guy.
it. But either way, you need that offensive line piece.
All right, let's go with Jahmyr Gibbs. I see a ton of Dalvin Cook. I know a lot of people were saying Alvin Kamara. I don't think he's quite as dynamic catching the football as Alvin Kamara, but I do think he's better at running between the tackles like a Dalvin Cook is.
Yeah.
Like Dalvin Cook for his size doesn't get a ton of credit for this. It's actually really good between the tackles, much like Christian McCaffrey is, right? They can find the hole, accelerate past the linebackers, get into the secondary really quickly going between the tackles because they are a little smaller, a little shiftier. I see a ton of that with Jahmyr Gibbs, so I'll go Dalvin Cook.
I like that. And he's a very shifty guy, very quick and decisive about his runs.
Yeah. I think a very one-cut type and get upfield.
But like you said, it's really tough to compare the excellence of being able to both run the ball and be a great receiving back like Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, for sure. Jordan Addison, I see a ton of Cooper Kupp. Neither of them are the biggest guy. Neither of them are the fastest guy. Neither of them are the strongest guy.
Yep.
Neither of them have the best hands. But it seems like just play in and play out. They're just always open. Mm-hmm. They're just always open. Yep. It's the top of the route. There's that little bit of nuance. There's that little bit of trickery that they just get open at the top of the route. They create enough misdirection and some confusion, and they just get open consistently.
Yeah, if we could have more guys on this graphic, I would say Julian Edelman, I would say a Chris Hogan, because these are all guys that, and you know how annoying they can be, especially as a Pittsburgh fan like we are.
Oh, yeah, the
thorn
guys
in the side of just those guys that you're like, how do they get that open? They're not that fast. They're not that shifty, but they just find a way to get open every single play, and they are always reliable catching the ball.
You go, I guess, if you want to go older comps, like an Eric Decker. Okay. Remember him for the Broncos back when Peyton Manning was throwing to him?
Yeah.
Like just those guys that why are they open all the time?
It gets annoying.
You could even say Devontae Adams. No, I think Devontae's got better hands than he gets credit for.
He's got better speed, though.
He's got quickness. I don't know, speed.
Yeah.
He's not. You don't think of Devontae like, oh, he's just gonna flat run
He's
by
not
you
going to be
like
a Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, so there's some comps there.
Yeah.
All right, let's go with Mozzie Smith, the defensive tackle from the Dallas Cowboys. I see a ton of Grady Jarrett, the pass rusher from Atlanta, in him.
Yeah.
Big, strong guys who kind of for a year take their time, more of a run-stopping guy, going to start developing their bag pass rushing. But then you look up in 3 years and you're like, wow, he's actually really productive. Nothing flashy, 14 sacks a year. He's never going to lead the league, but he's never going to be. He's always going to be somewhere between 5th, 6th, 7th, somewhere there in sacks, 14 to 16 sacks a year type of guy. And I think what the interesting thing is Dan Quinn, the defensive coordinator in Dallas, was the head coach in Atlanta when Grady Jarrett kind of made his emergence. So if I'm a Cowboys fan, I would be excited about this type of comp.
Yeah, especially in a division with the Eagles and in a division with, the Commanders, and it's kind of
maybe not the Commanders, but
you just go get after
the
quarterbacks.
Giants. Yeah, but the Giants can run the football, so I mean, it's a good idea to have.
Sure, but if you can go get after the quarterback, if you can make Daniel Jones uncomfortable,
we know, yes.
If you can make whoever's going to start in Washington uncomfortable, because we know that's just going to be a tire fire, and if you can find a way to throw Jalen Hurts off, I mean, you need to if you're Dallas. You need to.
No, I would agree.
You need a division win one of these years.
I would agree. All right, let's go ahead and get in some news, guys.